Hello everyone, welcome back to the Property Maintenance Show. Here we are once more with Paul Quayle and Albert Taylor.
Hey.
Okay, so we are going to continue our episode 2, part 2, vendor onboarding with property management companies and behind the scenes of the property management industry. So let's get this started. And we're going to continue with a question we had here, and I would like to go first with Albert. And this is, how would a vendor increase their chances of getting their work order estimate approved with a property management company?
Okay, yeah, I'm pretty sure Paul will agree with this one. Getting a good description and pictures and warranty information. I know that's Paul's favorite, warranty information. So if you put that in there, then your chances go up like more than half. So yeah, you get those three things in there: pictures, description, and warranty information. Yeah, your chances are probably around 80-90% of getting it approved. Yeah, well, then the price, but that's like kind of secondary. So, yeah, what do you think, Paul?
I agree with you, Albert. Yes, I think having the right price for the repair, the before pictures as well, making sure all the pictures are there, warranty and labour coverage is key. And I do think the most important element of that process is the support of the property coordinator that's working the actual work order. Fighting, for the approval. So for example, if it is a necessary repair, the property coordinator should understand their homeowner and know how to negotiate with their homeowner and to try and keep the vendor happy as well. I've seen many instances where the property coordinator is not fighting hard enough, right, for the vendor. It's just like, oh, they didn't approve. That's it.
Yeah.
And there's no the vendor can go the extra mile for you, but then when the vendor wants you to go the extra mile for them, you're not doing it. So that's also affects vendor relations. And I do feel it's, if the vendor ticks all the boxes and does everything right, the property coordinator should at least put up a fight a little bit. And then at least if the vendor sees that they really did try and the homeowner is just saying no, then okay. But if there's a sign of just no effort and nothing's really happened, like you've just sent the estimate, the owner said, no, it's too expensive, and the property coordinator is not even negotiating, saying, oh, what if we could get it for this much? Would you approve? Or what if we could get a discount? Would you reconsider? Like there's just different strategies they should be applying to support their vendors. And again, I'm not seeing it personally. I haven't seen it.
Okay.
Again, with majority.
Yeah, if I can
Mhm.
inject again there, that's a really, really good point. Actually, I never did that as a property coordinator. I never just sent the estimate like that, not even once. What I would do is I get the information from the estimate, put it in my email, and you see my emails. I mean, like I put everything in there, like arrows and colors and explaining and different options, and even like screenshots from the lease agreement. It's like, okay, according to the lease, it's like this and that, and explain to the homeowners, giving them options. Because if you give them options, they'll feel like they're still in control. But basically, you're just leading them to the conclusion that you want. Well, of course, you have their best interest in mind too, right? You're taking account of warranty information, the price, and everything. So yeah, I definitely think most property corners do it that way. I think, right? Is send the estimate and all right, good luck. Let's see if it goes through. But no, that's definitely not the way to go.
Okay, so moving on to the next question. Do we think property coordinators have any loyalty to their maintenance vendors? And Paul, would you go first on this one? Tell us what you think, please.
This is a really interesting question. So I think at the start of the relationship, things go well, right? But what happens is when something goes wrong, they're kind of they're kind of told by upper management, right? Sometimes, oh, don't use them again, or, put them to the bottom of the list instead of kind of fighting for them, like I explained in the previous question with my answer as well. I think at first it looks like loyalty, but then it kind of comes back to, in my opinion, just the dump and move on, personally.
Hmm. All right. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Albert?
Okay. And of course, my answer is going to be totally controversial. So brace yourselves for that. Yeah. Don't get too excited. So, well, yeah. I mean, there's different type of coordinators, right? There's some that are like us who really care for the vendor. Actually call them, hey, how are you doing? And it's a sincere question, right? They're the 9 to 5 type coordinators who don't give a dang. You're just there for the paycheck and clock in, clock out, and yeah, they forget it all. And well, there's another category as well. I guess yeah, we can. That's a fun topic. I know not a lot of people like it. The coordinators are actually in the pocket of the vendor. I actually made a meme about that. It's really cool. But they're on the paycheck of the vendor, so the vendor actually gives them some kickback, some little percentage of each job. So there's no love or anything. It's just like a business thing. There are some, I was thinking about that too, is like there's a lot of disadvantages of that. They're actually in the pocket of the vendor. So the vendor's kind of like calling the shots, not the other way around. So if you mess up coordinator, then they'll call you out or get you in trouble or something. So yeah, I wouldn't recommend that for any coordinator, but so those are the 3 types of coordinators out there. And thankfully, yeah, we were the category 1. So we actually cared about the vendor, actually tried to get them coordinated and not oversaturated. And yeah, as long as they looked out for us, we looked out for them, and it was a mutual agreement. But yeah, I like to mention the 3rd type since it's the most controversial, and I kind of like that controversial stuff. So yeah, I know a lot of other people do too. So as in loyalty, yeah, there are some that are loyal, good people, want to help, just good people in general. And of course there's not. So yeah, basically like that.
Okay, well, thank you both so much for sharing your experience and your opinion on this question. And we have a really interesting question that's coming up. So, do we feel that property owners only value how much repair costs compared to the vendor's quality work? And Albert, would you go first, please?
Yeah, actually, a few names popped into my head right there. I couldn't really avoid that. Yeah, like I would say maybe 80% of the owners, they just want to get the job done cheap and just fix it. And there's another percentage of owners who actually want a quality type job. I mean, it's part of the property coordinator's job too to convince them which way they want to go, because obviously the cheap job is going to probably be more expensive in the long run, and the good quality job is probably going to be a little more expensive, but it's going to last them longer. So the job of a property coordinator is to show them that it's like, okay, that's where you give the options, maybe 2, maybe 3 options. So cheap, kind of cheap, and kind of more expensive. That's what I'd like to do. And I had some really good results on that. Maybe option 2 has a really good warranty, so you don't have to spend too much, and they get maybe a year, 2 years warranty with some jobs. So yeah, a lot of that falls on the property coordinator. Just lay it out. That's kind of our job, or was our job. So yeah, I would stand by that.
Okay, thank you for sharing. Paul, what do you feel on this question?
So I really love this question, right? Because it's making me think really deeply, first of all. I feel the owners, I think the reason why the owners feel this way is because of let's call it the backdoor dealings of property management companies in general,
Hmm.
where they have this kind of reputation of charging extra or ripping off their clients, and then there's articles about this, and then there's group chats online about it, and feedback and different things that I've been reading, that a lot of them say the same thing. Customers go, oh, you're better off sending your own vendor because, property management vendors, they just want to rip you off. And it creates a bad name, right? It just creates a bad name and a bad stigma for the actual industry itself. I do agree with Albert where the property coordinator has to kind of convince the owner, like,
Mhm.
This is a good vendor and I've worked with them before and they're not here to rip you off or overcharge you, right? And I think the economy as well causes homeowners to say, well, I don't want to spend that much money, so I
Mhm.
want to go cheap. And unfortunately, with inflation, when inflation goes up, vendors' costs go up, right? Just the same as like a homeowner has to charge more rent. So if you look at it this way, when the owner has to charge more rent to their tenants, vendors follow in that category of inflation. So their
Mhm.
prices have to go up as well. But it's just kind of part and parcel of, society in general. When inflation goes up, prices go up.
Mhm.
It's just something that sometimes owners don't really think about, I would say. And I guess with every customer, everyone's always looking for the bargain. Like
Mhm.
if you go to a supermarket, for example, you want buy one, get one free, or 2-for-1 discount, or this and that. So I do feel it comes back to really the property coordinator trying to, in a way, you're trying to sell the repair. You've got to convince the owner that this is the way to go. Like, choose this vendor because it's covered with us. If there's a problem, they go back for free. If you choose a vendor outside, they might not do that. Or I remember the theory we had once was, like if I give a plumber, for example, right? There's two plumbers. One's charging $300, one's charging $600. The $300 plumber doesn't have no warranty on labor, nothing. So if it happens again in 2 weeks, he's not going back. And if he does go back, he's charging again.
Mhm.
So really it might actually cost the owner more for going with the cheaper option. And if they go with the slightly more expensive option, they're covered under labor warranty, right? They're protected.
Mhm.
So it comes back to the property coordinator. They need to explain these things clearly to their customers and to their clients. And if they do that, there is a higher percentage of approval, and also a higher percentage of homeowners trusting property management companies more with repairs. That's my thoughts on it.
Right. Yeah. Well, before we go to the next question, too, there's a small little point there. In most cases, the owners they get their own vendor, but they're maybe a handyman doesn't. They don't have their license and probably not no insurance. So yeah, they could charge $200 for a $600 job. Where in our case, we have to have a licensed handyman with their insurance and everything updated. So obviously they charge more. So yeah, a lot of cases were like that. Yeah, just going cheap. But in the state of California, that could be really expensive. They can get into some complications there, the lawsuit or something. Somebody gets hurt.
Yes, I totally agree with what both of you guys were saying. If there was a full communication on both ends, things would probably be a little different.
Hmm?
And the next question kind of links to this, what we were speaking about, and it is, if a maintenance vendor goes the extra mile for a property management company, how should a property management company show their appreciation for this? And Albert, I would like you to give me your point of view.
Yeah, I was gonna say taking a percentage of their their profit, but that's even more controversial. So I won't go that route. Um, all right, so maintenance coordinator. Oh no, yeah, maintenance vendor. Yeah, so if they went the extra mile, I mean, property management company doesn't really care. I mean, well, they're but what they want to do is keep the homeowner happy. That's their number one objective. And number two, maybe the tenant. Yeah, the vendor, unfortunately, is like number 3 or 4, maybe 5. So yeah, it's well the way they look at, they're giving the vendors business, so they should be happy with that. Which, of course, as a property coordinator, we know that's not true. Yeah, these people are actually going out of their way sometimes after hours and difficult situations and probably getting hurt in some jobs, and property management company doesn't know that. Probably don't want to know. Yeah, you just want the job done, homeowner happy, and yeah, keep charging rents.
Yes, that's totally unfortunate. Paul, I would like to hear what you're saying, what you have to say.
Yes, so this question, what once again makes me think really deeply, right? Because first of all, Albert's structure there is absolutely right. You know, they put the homeowner first, then the tenant, and then, you know, vendors like at the bottom, right? Where, in my opinion, they should be linked joint number one, like there. Because I say this, without a maintenance department, a property management company, what are they needed for? When we ask that, why do people go with property management companies? To manage their property, right? It's in the name, management, right? So maintenance is a big part of it. And I feel like property management companies should value it more. They should put it number one, joint with the homeowner, right? And another thing is, if a vendor does go an extra mile, they should recognize that. And yeah, maybe they should give them some extra work because that's what they're looking for at the end of the day. But again, like Albert's saying, they don't really care, right? It's that lack of care. But what they don't understand is vendor relations is the most important thing. It's either joint number one with the actual client, right, the homeowner, or it should be number two, right? Like having the vendor at the very bottom is not the answer. Because when a vendor looks at it and goes, I've been going the extra mile for you for 2 months now. What I'm asking in return is just for more work. You're not giving it to me. So I'm not going to do these things for you anymore. But then they feel hurt because fake promises were made from day one. When the vendor onboarding process was brought on, like, yeah, you're going to get lots of jobs working with us. Yeah, you're going to make a lot of money. And they believe that. They come in with that expectation. So it's just that false narrative that I feel property management companies need to be more transparent with their vendors. Of course, like, is it difficult for change? 100%. It looks like the industry's been stuck in their ways for decades, like over a decade. So I can only hope with the new generation coming in that things can change. And coming to Albert's point, I know he mentioned in episode 1, if I can recall, that how is the younger generation going to be attracted to the industry in general? So it's kind of putting the younger generation off, realistically, right? With their lack of support and management, their lack of care in the actual maintenance department, like difficult work environments.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's putting people off. That's not like appealing to anybody, right? Who's gonna say, oh, I wanna what do you want to do as your career? Imagine saying that to your son or daughter, right? They're like 15, 16 years
Mhm.
old, and they'll go, oh, I want to be a property coordinator when I grow up. Or I want to be a property manager. I want to be a real estate agent.
Mhm.
The actual industry is short in like
Yeah.
their employment rate isn't very high. I, I'm sure again maybe in another episode we'll pull up those numbers, but I I mean just taking a wild guess here, I don't think they're really high. I wouldn't believe they would be. And I'm telling you, not many people now are thinking, oh, I want to be a real estate agent when I grow up. Well, I'd love to work in property maintenance. No, they're not saying that, and it's sad, and it's because of the older generation in their ways. They're stuck in their ways. They don't want to change, and unfortunately, it's going to cause a ripple effect. It's quite sad, to be honest.
Yeah, there's gonna be a bunch of YouTubers, right? Gamers. Yeah, I think that's what they all say, right? They want to be gamers and YouTubers, make a lot of money on YouTube. Yeah, so good luck there.
Okay, yes, well, I totally agree on what both of you guys are saying. You guys have spoken the truth and have pointed out a bunch of important things out there, so I really appreciate that. And moving on to the next question, it is, should a property management company be giving back feedback to their vendors on how they are performing on services and how their pricing is? And Albert, would you like to go first on this one?
Well, yeah, definitely, yeah. So they should be giving feedback, yeah. I do think the property management company should be more involved in the process, since it is the most important part of the property management company. I would think everybody would agree on that, their maintenance department. So yeah, the better the vendors are, the better the department is. So the more involved they are in that process, would be a lot better, right? I mean, I can imagine myself if I had a property management company, I would be like, oh wow, yeah, let's help you guys out. Let's do this for you, and you're our vendors, and we want to help you and be there with you and help you improve. But yeah, the experience I have so far is like, okay, yeah, it's do what you have to do, get the job done. We don't want any complaints, and just do it and let's move on. That's pretty much the way I see things being done, which I don't think is the best way.
Okay, yes, and now that I hear you say this, so do you think if there are any issues, should they be helping and supporting them to improve?
Yes, I mean well, yes and no, because the vendor does have to invest in the structure. So if they're not scheduling and stuff good enough, then they probably need to expand their infrastructure so they could do more stuff. So in that case, yeah, maybe a 50-50 answer, yes, no. So yeah, if they need more staff, then maybe they should be calling us, maybe. And yeah, but I mean, if it's like communication with the property management company, then maybe yeah, the property management company could focus on getting that fixed or finding a better method.
Okay, great. Thank you, Albert.
Mm-hmm.
Paul, I would like to hear your opinion.
Yes, so to answer this question, I feel I have not seen or witnessed, and this is how I'm going to put this, right? So I can't say all, but I'm going to probably say majority of property management companies do not provide any feedback to their vendors, which is quite sad because if you claim you care so much about your vendors and, oh, the vendors are the one that keeps us in business and runs our maintenance department, then do you really care about them then if you're not going to tell them when something's wrong? So going off to Albert's point, like if they had an infrastructure problem, the suggestion should be made to them,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or even just a suggestion. Again, if they don't listen, then at least the property management company can go, well, at least we tried. We had the conversation. We spoke to them. We told them that it looks like they're not answering their phones enough, and they're not, their estimate turnover time's too long. It's taking too many days just to get an estimate together. So obviously there is problems. But the problem is, like, maybe the vendor doesn't know who to go to or where to go to. So again, any vendor that's watching our show, first of all, we appreciate it. And again, if you do need any help and support, we are here, Optagon Work Services. Again, as always, our details are down below in the description and also advertised at the end of each episode we post. So going away from that, I just think it's just sad in general that they don't do it, and I wish for change. I really do.
Yeah.
Yes, I totally agree. It is sad. Albert, do you have anything else to add on?
No, that's exactly right. Yeah. I mean,
Mhm.
I think the property management company learns a little too late, but then they just forget again and process just repeats itself. But there are coordinators who do reach out and say, hey, you know what? You need to answer your phone. Hint, hint. I want to give you more jobs, but it's kind of hard. Yeah, it's been 15 days. I haven't got your estimate. So it makes it a little bit hard for me to help you out. So yeah, that's a good question.
Yes, definitely. It is
Yeah.
hard. Okay, well, moving on to the next question is why is it so important for the property management maintenance department and maintenance vendors to have a good business relationship? And Albert, I would like to hear you first.
Yeah, me again. All right.
Yes.
All right. Yeah, the business relationship. I mean, that says it all, I think, right? Business relationship. The property coordinators and, well, their business is in that department, but the management company, their business is keeping everybody happy, right? So they're juggling homeowners and tenants who always have a tendency to be angry. Well, not always, but yeah, that's the tendency. But yeah, that's hard enough. So if you have a good business relationship with your vendors, yeah, that increases your odds of like getting, well, giving you a good first impression. People just moving in and finding stuff that was just magically forgotten or overlooked, like a gas leak, for example. Oh my gosh, they're just moving in. There's a gas leak already, so or the stove isn't connected or some incredible thing. So if you have a vendor with a good relationship, you could probably get a favor or two out of them. Like, hey, you know what? Can you get out there? It's kind of like my company messed up, but can you help us out and go and connect that stove for us? So it is a business. I mean, yeah, the tenants could easily give a bad review because it just moved in and there's all this stuff that's like, what happened here? It's the house exploded and what's the management company doing? They're not like checking stuff before we move in. So yeah, it's just a big business. So yeah, it's more than important. I think it's like should be a top priority. And like Paul said, yeah, the importance they give to a homeowner should be the same they give to a vendor. They're all part of the same business.
Okay, thank you, Albert,
Mhm.
for sharing. Paul, give us your opinion on this, please.
Yes. So I feel it's important because of 5-star customer service, right? So without a good business relationship, the chances are that you might not be able to perform a 5-star customer service. And I think property management companies forget, like, the vendors are their whole backbone of their business. And I personally feel they should kind of treat them with a little bit more respect. This whole like, oh, you're no use to us anymore, we're dumping you and we'll replace you with someone cheaper. It's disappointing, right? And there's a lot of vendors out there that are great vendors. They have lots of care for their local communities. They have families to feed. They have a business to run. So why not you know, if there is issues, right, and like Albert said, business relationship. So every business relationship has its ups and downs, but you shouldn't give up. You know, you should try and at least have the conversations to work these things out,
Mhm.
right? So that's my advice. If whoever's listening today, or if you work for a property management company, that's my best advice to give, is show more care to your vendors and work on building a better business relationship.
Definitely.
Yes, totally. I agree on everything you guys say. Albert, is there anything else you would like to add? Sorry.
Well, no, that's pretty much it. Yeah, that's definitely something that's lacking in the industry. That relationship more than anything. But yeah, good point. Paul said.
Yes, I totally agree. I think today we did speak about plenty of important things,
Mhm.
like we did on our past one. And it's always a pleasure sharing this space with both of you, Paul, Albert. Thank you very much. And for our viewers, we also thank you. We are really happy to be here, and I hope to see you next time for our next episode.
All right.
Thank
Yeah,
you, everyone.
absolutely.
Thank you.
See you in next one.
Goodbye.